welcome to another edition of TRD Pro Bros. We got MJ40, Pro Bro 1. We've got Andrew, the professor.
Go right here.
I'm like a half
Pro
professor.
Bro 2. And
Today I'm not the professor.
Today, Kurt Williams with OLT 4x4.
And Cruiser Outfitters and Land Cruiser here. Anything Land Cruiser, Kurt.
Yeah.
Stay involved with Land Cruiser.
So one thing we want to highlight is this guy's the man when it comes to Land Cruisers. He's done expeditions on 5 different continents, right, in Land Cruisers. But one thing we want to highlight is Greg Miller is the brains behind this operation, right? Mm-hmm. He used to run a bunch of stores with his family, the Little H. Miller Toyota Group, and he had other manufacturers too, but Toyota was his near and dear.
We don't worry about those other ones.
And he's always had a dream, right, is to build a cool museum in Salt Lake City, Utah, for people to enjoy their Land Cruiser collection. And what did Greg always say, Kurt, when it comes to
I gotta get this right. When I'm in a Land Cruiser, I'm with people usually with people I like, doing things I like in places, or doing adventures I want to do. So just like it encompasses all things enjoyment being in a Land Cruiser.
Yeah, and the coolest thing about that is that's your love language, right, Andrew?
Stop. I can't handle any more of this. I'm at overload with Land Cruiser and everything that means.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, and as our audience knows, he has a 70 series in his garage at home. So we are in Land Cruiserville. So let's take you on a little tour of what we got.
What's up, everybody? Hopefully you know where we are. If you don't, then you need to watch some of our older episodes. But we've got some beautiful Land Cruisers. You can see it on Kurt's hat here. Obviously, we have Kurt with us as well. And something you may not know is this name right here, right? We see the Land Cruiser, but this is a unique name. And that's why we've got Kurt here. He knows the history of so much to go. I want to say everything that's in this museum. Most importantly, Greg Miller and how this ties into everything that we have here. So can you give us just kind of a quick backstory on this specific vehicle? Why does his name on this, and what are we doing?
You bet. So this vehicle we're sitting in front of, this is Fernway. That's his name. And this is a Land Cruiser 70 series, a VDJ78 that has been on all 7 continents. So pretty amazing journey. And actually, this is part of the origin story of the Land Cruiser Heritage Museum that Greg came up with. This was purely his idea to have this museum that celebrated Land Cruisers, not just for those of us here in Utah or the United States, but for people to come from around the world and see the whole story of Land Cruisers from start to finish. And it all started kind of with the spool up of this Expedition 7 trip.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's really wrapping up everything that is Land Cruiser into one vehicle, one trip, right? It's gone everywhere. It's done all these things. It's still here. It looks great. It works. So it's really kind of a nice summary, and that's why they get a nice stage with lots of information about this trip. So thanks for bringing that up. We're grateful for Greg and him putting some focus on these vehicles, because we get to enjoy all the cool models that we have here and really see the history and heritage of Toyota and Land Cruiser. Expedition 7 continents. I'm not even confident I can name all of those 7 continents, and that probably works with a lot of the viewers as well here. You were at least partial on this trip, maybe not all 7.
Did 5 of them, yeah.
5 of them, okay.
Yep.
So out of those 5, like, what's a takeaway from this experience with these vehicles and 5 continents, which is still more than probably 90% of the people who have driven Land Cruisers out there?
Yeah, very fortunate to get to be part of that. The trip overall was all 7 continents. So this vehicle we're standing right here in front was the only one, and to date, the only vehicle that's driven on and across 7 continents, which is pretty dang amazing to have it right here.
Yeah.
Takeaways are, we were never worried about the vehicles. That was never a worry. That's one of the reasons why Land Cruisers were chosen, right? Like, you just don't have to worry about whether they're going to get you there. We had to worry about a lot of other things,
right? Conditions,
just our human factor to be able to hang out and spend all that time on the road, just get beat up in cold weather, hot weather, all the things, and food, of course, all the normal trip considerations you have when you're traveling across a continent like that, but never had to worry about the Land Cruiser. And the only problems we ever had, start to finish, it's generally aftermarket parts, like things and aftermarket or modifications we've done to the vehicles. Those are compromises. We do them because we need more capacity, we need bigger tires, we need more protection, armor, and winches. But you have to realize that every one of those takes away from what was, when it came out of the factory, like the most dialed vehicle it was ever going to possibly be.
Yes, yeah, and I'm sure you had some kind of contingency plans, like, hey, we're going to change this. Here's the things that may go wrong with that. Carry a couple extra bolts, plugs, whatever related to that system, knowing it's deviating from the original design's plan.
Absolutely. And nothing we did do caused us any major compromise. Just a few very minor problems overall in this entire journey with these vehicles. But the few we did have were very easily solved on the trail, spare parts, hardware, things like that. Keep things tightened. But overall, like, they were pretty dang trouble-free. And I think we've all agreed we'd have no issues at all hopping back in the fleet of vehicles and doing another lap around the globe if conditions presented themselves, or the opportunity really presented itself.
I think we should all put up a vote. Should we do it again?
Let's say we do it. Greg, we want to go get one of them now too, Greg. He'd be up for it because he loves adventure travel.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you already have the rigs and the knowledge, so why not?
I think the hardest part would be convincing him to take this one out of the museum, because there's so much cool equity and story built into this one now. That'd be a little scary to take it back out on the road, since it's already done a pretty amazing trip around the world.
Yeah. All right. We'll just have to buy another one.
Start with another one, maybe. Yeah.
All right. So we're trying to take Kurt around, and we asked him what his favorite Land Cruiser is, and obviously he can't help us with that because all of them are.
It's true.
We understand.
That's true.
So we had to dig into the depths of information and say, all right, what's the most obscure, maybe not known? And here we are with the 55 series, the Iron Pig. For those of you, this is a really special model as well. We get these nice different doors, right? There's some variations, but this is definitely the first, probably the only one I'll ever see that has
with barn doors, yeah.
But what else is amazing about this vehicle or unique that most people don't know?
Well, 55s, I think to the Land Cruiser community, they would argue like, oh, they're definitely not the most obscure. There's other oddity ones out there, and that's true. Like even the 45 LV, some of the others. But to general guests we get here at the museum that maybe aren't Land Cruiser enthusiasts, they're auto enthusiasts, or maybe just like Toyotas, or they just saw like, hey, there's this amazing collection we heard about to go look at. They find great interest in the 55 series because despite the fact they did come to the United States and they were imported here, they've never seen one.
Right.
Because you could probably go your whole life in even big markets and never run across one of these driving on the road. Though they're out there. There's a great community of them here in the U.S., but they are just a little different. I'd say takeaways is they were producing these the same time as the 40 series that we've all come to know and love, like the removable top, two-door utility vehicle.
Land Cruiser.
Very iconic Land Cruiser. These had, not this model because it's a non-US with this door setup, but the US models had a power roll-down rear window. They had nice upholstery on the inside when the Land Cruiser, the 40, was still these metal doors and metal dash. So you look inside these, and they are very different platforms, and it's easy to kind of see where the train or the family tree of Land Cruisers had the branches split, and we had a true utility vehicle, that 40 series, but then we had the station wagon. Yeah. And that really started a tad bit earlier with the 45, but they were so similar that you didn't see the differences.
Yeah, you may have had some interior differences, but the exterior was so similar. You're like, well, I don't really understand. But looking at this and then looking at 60 series and 40, you're like, okay, I understand where this was the halfway point. And then truly 60 series was like, this is
way different.
There's nothing similar.
Nothing similar, yeah. So
that's cool.
So for a normal guest coming to the museum, they would look at these, and I've had it happen so many times and go like, whoa, I've never seen any of these before. They're even more stark than the 70 series. Everyone's seen those in a movie or something.
Exactly. Yeah. We need more of these in movies.
That's it.
That's the answer. All right. So to wrap this up with Kurt, we wanted to take you to kind of that iconic. We talked about FJ40. Obviously, that's a very general term here because there are so many.
Of 40s.
But this one always catches my eye because A, it's from another market. B, it's dirty and it says don't touch it. And those two things, I'm like, all right, so what's the deal here? Why is this here? What is different about this one?
Yeah, many look at this and think, like, why is this in this building? Everything else is, we keep dusted, it's cleaned, it's detailed, many of them restored, many unrestored. This one definitely stands out. This is exactly as we would call like as delivered vehicle. So when these vehicles were delivered in market, this is how they shipped. This is how they shipped from the Toyota factory. The windshield down, still has the bubble wrap on the visors, the case in the back that contained the soft top, the spare tire strapped on top. So this is how they would have showed up to dealers in some of those markets. Then they would assemble them before delivering them to the customer, before the customer took receipt. This one's different though, because you would think that's what it is, but it was actually restored to look like that. In some markets, it's a kind of a status symbol to have a whole warehouse full of vehicles that look like they're brand new and have never even been assembled. And this is definitely one that was one of those. So they took a 40 series, beautifully restored it, and then let it kind of sit out and get this patina to make it look like it had been sitting since it was brand new. But as we know, it was not. This one was done as restoration. And there could be real ones out there. I'm still waiting to see that true real one that has never been touched.
Yes.
But,
and then you'll buy that one.
Then we would love to have that one here at the museum. But it's a cool story because that's that crate, the container, that's exactly how they came off the boat when they would be delivered to many markets.
I think it's also neat to see that perspective because a lot of people don't understand that even like into the early 90s, we were receiving vehicles and putting power steering and AC and all these things that like it really came as kind of a partially assembled vehicle in certain
Mhm.
ways. And the dealerships, the technicians were putting a lot of these things in. So to see this with its own parts in a wooden crate behind
Right.
is strange, but it's just a different style.
Yeah, it's cool to have. And you're right, to the U.S. models, yeah, well and do like things like hubs, winches, different wheel and tire packages
Yeah.
were all installed at port or at the dealer level.
Yeah, super cool.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another wonderful episode of TRD Pro Bros.
Thank you to Greg Miller, Kurt Williams, everyone who puts their time and energy into the Land Cruiser Heritage Museum in Salt Lake City. Come check it out if you've never been here. It'll blow your mind.
We hope you learned something about all the different series and all these unique builds that we've had throughout the world. And we hope you love Land Cruiser like we do. Thank you again for tuning in. If you like the TRD Pro Bros, please like, comment, and share our podcast with others. And keep being great, my peeps. We love you.